All right. So the catch block takes a parameter. It's common to pass error as a parameter to the catch block. This parameter is an object and it has name and message keys. So let's use the name and message. Okay. So let's go check it out for this error that we have. All right, so we have name, error.name, message, error.message. And yeah, this is what we have. The name is reference error. The message is first name is not defined. So the name usually is the kind of error it is. You know, syntax error, reference error, range error. There are quite a few types of errors in JavaScript. Okay. Most times, for your users, the name is not needed. They don't need to know what kind of error it is. Is this one? Is this one that is actually useful a lot of the times? Okay, so now we talk about the throw keyword. The throw statement allows us to create a custom error. So we can throw a string, number, boolean, or an object. Use the throw statement to throw an exception. When you throw an exception, the expression you pass in specifies the value of the exception. So each of the following throws an exception. Let's try this. Okay, so throw this, and the error thrown is just error 2. You can see the error 2. Throw 42 with, before I continue, yes, anytime an error is encountered in a code, that code stops running. So that's one of the beauties of this try and catch. Let me see. Normally, if an error occurred, JavaScript would stop at that error and would not bother trying to read any other stuff. So this one would have failed without this try and catch. Let's test that. Yeah. So this throws an error, and you can see that nothing below that was read. It just stops at error, and that's it. So try and catch also has the, will I say, beautiful functionality of isolating the rest of your code from whatever error may occur in this try block. All right, so while you can throw an error with just random strings and stuff, generally we like to use something more like this. Throw new error. Okay, so it would have, let me comment out this, and this, and this. Yeah. So throw new error creates, this is an error constructor. A lot of objects have their constructor functions. in JavaScript. So using an error constructor to create a specific kind of error is, will I say, more the order of the day, not throwing weird stuff like this. So now with this, there will be a name, there will be a message, and well, the whole thing is an object. You can see some more information like stack. It occurred at this place, it occurred at that place, that kind of thing. With all these ones, you don't get that. So whatever message you would like to see in your error, you write that here, and that'll be that. But there isn't only just throw new error. You know how I said there are different kinds of errors, right? So let's try creating other kinds of errors. I think there's definitely syntax error. There is range error. So let me comment this out. Yeah, so now this becomes a syntax error. The message still remains the same, and I'm guessing what you see in stack would still remain the same because it's still thrown at the same place. All that is different is that it's syntax error, not just an error. Okay, so I think that's that for throw. So the usefulness of throw is that there are some times in our code where there are certain things we don't want to allow, but it's not really, those things are not, what's the word? They're not crimes in JavaScript. For example, somebody is filling out a form. You don't want them to write a particular thing in a particular field. All right? So you could just be watching that form, and if the person writes this, you throw an error and say you shouldn't write this. But them writing that is not against the laws of JavaScript. It's just against your own laws as a developer. So throw an error if this happens. We see that a lot in JavaScript. Sorry, in React. Form handling. Yeah, there are some certain fields, especially like password fields. Maybe on submit or something, you check all the fields and make sure that everything is the way it should be. Let's say passwords, for example, are the things we look out for the most. Some people want special kinds of passwords. It has to have a capital letter, has to have a lowercase letter, has to have a number, maybe a symbol as well. And so at that point, you just check the value of this, and if it's not, you throw an error. Okay, and in your catch block, you prefer to catch different kinds of errors. Maybe you might use the message in the error to create a switch case or if else statement that if error.message is required, then do this. If error.message is password check failed, do this. You understand? Different kinds of things like that. So that's the use of throw. Okay, so they have an example here for us. It's always scary to see red. All right, so throw error example form. We say let message, then let x be equal to prompt, enter a number. Oh, that's why we're getting these. Okay, no wahala. So we're going to go look at this in the browser. Coca doesn't work well with things like alert or prompt. Doesn't do well with those. So we're going to link this to day 14. Call this error handling. Oh, I was doing the HTML. All right, so I okay. So let me refresh. So enter a number. I enter 3. Okay. It says too low. Let's look at the code again. Okay, so the person enters the number and that number becomes X. The user enters the number becomes X. So the try and catch is if X is empty, throw empty. If Have you guys seen this before? It returns a Boolean value that indicates whether a value is the reserved value none, not a number. So it's used to check if something is not a number. So if whatever they enter is not a number, throw not a number. If X is okay, X is equal to number X, right? If X is less than 5, throw too low. X is greater than 10, throw too high. So the only safe place is if you enter 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And if there's an error, it will console log the error. So let's go try that. So if I enter hello, we get not a number. If I enter empty string, we get empty. 5, nothing, because that's a safe number. 54, too high. We already saw too low earlier. So that's that. So I'm going to comment this out because Poker doesn't like prompts. All right, error types. So first we're looking at this reference error. So it means an illegal reference has occurred. This error is thrown if we use a variable that has not been declared. Okay, we've already seen this. I don't need to take it over there. So yeah, a variable function, whatever, you're trying to use it, but JavaScript doesn't know it at that point. So reference error. Then syntax error is when, well, let's say you go against the laws of JavaScript syntax. Like this, yeah, 2x2. No. Yes, that x there is the issue. So 2 is great because 2 is just a value. For x, it's now looking at x as a variable, and it's just weird to write a variable at this point. So that's wrong syntax. So if we had just said let square be equal to x, you'll get a reference error because it doesn't know x. Come in. Yeah, x is not defined. This is really a reference error. It's not really saying what kind of error it is, but the fact that it's not defined means reference error. Okay, so I'm going to remove this. So here we have another syntax error. Can anybody point out the issue in this line? Line 41.
The difference in the string
Yeah,
types.
yeah, the difference in the quotes. We're starting with a single quote, ending with double quotes. That doesn't make sense to JavaScript. So once again, I'll comment these two out. So type error. Type error is where you try to use a method that doesn't exist on that type. Okay, so let's go look at this. So the dot to lowercase method or to lowercase methods exists on strings. Yeah, but not on numbers. So type error. Okay. So it didn't mention range error, but I think we can find a place to use that. Mm, I know what. Let me use this instead. Yeah, the string. So this toString method, it takes in, yeah, it takes in a variable, and this variable is like a base, radix, a base. So if I put 2 here, we should see ones and zeros. Yeah. Aha. That's fine. So this has a limit. I think the limit is 32. So let me write 33. Okay, it's not 33. It has a limit, 60. Yes. This is range error. Okay, it's 36. Between 2 and 36. So let's put this in a try and catch and see what kind of error it shows us. That's interesting. Rangers. Okay. This one I saw it still shining light, so I was wondering why. But yeah, it did throw an error. We can see range error, right? So string radix argument must be between 2 and 36. So yeah, that's range error. It's kind of rare to encounter them. So if you are throwing errors, custom errors in your work, you might make it more meaningful by throwing the right kind of error. So if it's something where like this situation, you might want to throw a range error here and a range error here. Like throw new range error, number too low, throw new range error, number too high. This one might be a type error, right? Because you didn't write something as a number. I know, even though everything you write there are strings, but yeah. This one, I don't know, just regular error. It's not really any special kind of error. It's just you don't want it to be empty. So let's the lesson stops here, but let's see if there are other kinds of errors. If we can see, we've only seen 4: reference, syntax, type, and range. Okay, so there are 7. Okay, below you'll find a list of errors which are thrown by JavaScript, blah, 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 blah. The pages will provide additional details about these errors. Each error is an object based upon the error object and has a name and a message. So, so in this list, each page is listed by name, the type of error, and message, a more detailed human-readable error message. Together, these two properties provide a starting point towards understanding and resolving the error. So let's start with this. Error, permission denied to access property X. So this occurs when there was an attempt to access an object for which you have no permission. Interesting. Have I really encountered this error? Okay, I think it's this one I've seen. This cross-origin stuff. Cause always does annoying things. Okay, makes sense. But is this a DOM exception error? I guess since it's before the colon, probably the error is done. So that means there are probably more than 7 types of errors. Okay, error type DOM exception. That's crazy. So we have internal error. Okay, so when there are too many function calls or a function is missing a base case, I guess it's still a kind of range error. Okay, there are two errors thrown. There's a range error for maximum call stack size exceeded. Oh, okay, I get. Chrome will throw a range error. Firefox will throw an internal error. Safari will throw a range error. Right. So let's see, what's an internal error? Okay, so this feature is non-standard and it's not on a standards track. Right, because not every browser throws this, so I'm going to throw a range error. So it indicates that an error has occurred internally in the JavaScript engine. So some common cases, too many switch cases. Yeah, I heard there was a limit on this switch, the number of cases you can put in a switch. I can't remember the limit. It's pretty high, but it exists. Too many parentheses in regular expression. Huh, I didn't know that even happened. Array initializer too large. Okay. So I guess you can't start off an array with too many items inside or too much recursion. By the way, what of this one? So DOM exception represents an abnormal event that occurs as a result of calling a method or accessing a property of a web API. All right, so we've seen range error, seen syntax error, seen type error. So let's see this URI error. I think I remember this. When you enter a wrong URI. Okay, it's the same everywhere. So it occurs when URI encoding or decoding wasn't successful. Let's find some examples to get it well. Yeah, there is this function, I think encode URI. You know, you never see spaces in any web address, right? Instead, sometimes you see this weird thing like percentage 20, percentage 80, those stuff. It's some kind of encoding that is used for URIs. So if you want to like create an address that has some interesting things in there that should not be in a web address, like spaces, you pass it through this function and it will correct or encode those stuff like the spaces into something that can exist in a URI. So I think somehow, this decodes. Anyhow, things that have to do with URIs. Oh. So at what point does this become an error? Okay, I see. In UTF, it's encoding. There's no percentage 2, but there's percentage 20. Sorry. Isn't that supposed to be a space? Yeah, that's a space. So we see the space. Right. So I guess it's stuff like that. Then this, oh, that means last class there are 7. Because, let's say DOM exception, internal error, range error, that's 3. Reference is 4, syntax is 5, type is 6. And we have this URI, 7. So what's this one? Okay, this is just a warning. JavaScript execution won't be halted. I don't quite get this one. The JavaScript warning file dash 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 is being assigned a something source mapping URL, but already has one. I'm not sure when you can encounter this kind of issue. So I guess that's 7. It really is just 7. Okay. Okay, this is also another warning. Unreachable code after return statement. Interesting. It's only on Firefox you see this. So yeah, that's that really. Are there any questions?
But I think that unreachable code, you usually also experience it on VS Code. I
On
don't know.
VS Code.
Yeah,
Yeah, it just gets grayed out.
go
I don't
blank.
think it actually writes a warning.
I think if you over it, it will actually write it like unreachable code, something like that.
Okay, so let's try that. We will comment out this. Yeah, up to here. And then have return null and x is equal to hello. Okay, yeah, it does write it. Unreachable code detected. So it first of all grays it out to catch your attention and shows you. So the quick fix is to remove, and it goes away. So yeah, that's that. So any other questions, comments, something you'd like to add?
Yeah, bro. Sorry, I also want to ask if like if for example now I'm trying to use like a string method on an array
Yeah.
method, what kind of error would pop up? let's say I'm trying to like do like an array dot split or something.
It's type error. Let's
Okay.
do it here. Mm, So type error. This dot split is not a function.
Okay.
Okay, I think there is one more thing I feel we should talk about. It's still within the range of errors. There was a day that Raja was saying something like that about some kind of catching global exceptions. So I tried to apply it at some point, but where exactly now? It did kind of work out, but I'm not sure. It felt kind of like after it catches one error, it stops. Maybe it was the way I used it. But all the same, the fact that it did catch a global error, like it wasn't really attached to anywhere, it was just looking globally, and it caught that error and showed me the error. I think that's something we may want to talk about. Sorry, let me reduce this for a while. Yeah, I think this was it. Let me see. Yeah, window.add event listener error. So on error, actually the thing that I'll, I can't remember what exactly he mentioned. What he mentioned was two particular events, right? There was something about exception. He mentioned something about exception. Is it uncaught exception and uncaught, unhandled, something like that? Uncaught something and unhandled another thing. One was for asynchronous stuff and the other was not. But here I discovered they did not show up. All I saw was error. There was no on anything. Okay, unhandled rejection and uncaught exception. Yes. So I think unhandled rejection is for, what's it called? Asynchronous, errors in asynchronous code that is not handled. And uncaught exception is errors in synchronous code that is not handled. So if you add an event listener on the window object for these two things, uh, then basically you're good to go. So if at all an error occurs somewhere in your code that you didn't handle, this will catch it. and take care of it with whatever function you put here. Does that make sense? I'm not sure if we can test it out now. Maybe we can't try out this unhandled rejection, but let's see if we can try out the, well, if uncut exception doesn't work, then we'll try just error, since there is actually error. Oh, this was still, I'm sorry, goodness, the thing was small. There's a time we did something, right, that threw an error and stopped everything from working. So let me say if I put this up here, let's see window dot add event listener. Will I see the uncut? I didn't see it. Okay, so error then. So the events. Don't worry, this one is just Coca being Coca. We'll go to the browser to look at it. Console.log error. So let's see whether it will catch this. Yes, it did. Here, error is this. But later on, yeah, that one still happened. But the point is, it caught the error. So if we wanted to do something, if an error occurs that is not caught, yeah, this will catch it. So I suppose that's a fine tidbit that we can all go home with. So we're done. Any other questions, comments, anything? Yeah, goodness.
Please, can you give me another word for recursion or recursive? Just something that, okay, so each time I hear recursion, I try to figure out what exactly the person is saying. So any word that explains it better, or generally just help me explain what recursion means.
Repetitive, secular, looping.
Oh, repetitive. Okay.
Okay, but yeah, what recursion is in JavaScript? A recursion is a function that calls itself. Yeah. Let's see if I can quickly write one. Yeah. This doesn't- Mm, if n is less than or equal to 1, return n. And then return let's see n and or rather no, sample recursion n minus 1 and n. Yeah, let's say that. Five. Or its return value is not iterable. Okay. Instead of going crazy, let's just say, let's say plus then. Yeah. So we call sample recursion 5. It's going to call itself for 4 and call itself for 3 and 2 and 1, and that's where it will stop. So this is a recursion, right? Because this is the one we called, but it's going to call itself, and inside here it will call itself, and inside there. So the basic explanation of how this goes is we put in 5, right? So it will first check 5 is the end. Is 5 less than or equal to 1? No, it's not. So it's going to come down here and return. Okay, let me flip this around. Let me make it n plus. It's all the same, but okay. So that's 5 plus, let me just call this SR. N minus 1 is 4. Okay, so it's going to try to resolve this. And so we're going to get 5 plus, if it tries to resolve this, it will check first of all, is 4 less than or equal to 1? No. So come down and do 4 plus SR3. So try to resolve this. 3 not less than 1. So we get plus, and then again and finally 1. Is 1 less than or equal to 1? Yes. So this time around there's an actual return, like something that doesn't need calculation, just 1. And at this point it can simply add it up. So 1 plus 2, 3, 6, 10, 15. So does recursion make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you
It
very
doesn't.
much.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. Somebody said it doesn't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
Balo said
yeah,
so.
what I mean is like I'm confused. What's the whole point of recursion? Like why do I have to
The whole
why
point
do I
of
have to like
recursion.
use that way when I could probably use another alternative to solve the problem?
Because you are thinking you will easily see that other alternative. Don't worry. This is going to be long, Sha. There was a day that we attempted Code Wars. It's recent actually, 12th of this month. So this was the challenge. The goal of this kata is to implement tree or prefix tree using dictionaries, aka hash maps or hash tables, where the dictionary keys are the prefixes. The value of a leaf node is none in JavaScript. I'm sorry, Python. Let's leave this. But it's null in JavaScript. And the value for empty input is empty array for JavaScript. So basically, this is what it will be. You say build tree with nothing inside, you get empty object. Remember, value for empty input is empty object. Empty string, empty object. But then you actually put a string, and it begins to break it down like this. So this string starts with T. So that means there is something that starts with T. So T becomes a property in the object. And as for the value, we try to find, will I say, 2-letter words starting with T among everything that was passed into the function. And there's only one, TR, like only one possibility, TR. Okay. Things that start with TR but are 3 letters or have 3 letters. So TRI, we take it further, TRIE. Now TRIE is a leaf node, as in there is nothing else starting with TRIE apart from this word TRIE. And so TRIE is null because the value of a leaf node is null. So for this one word, it won't make so much sense. But let's look at this one that had a lot of things passed in. So there are, first of all, 3 starting letters. There is A, there is T, there is I. So we have A, T, and over here there's I. A is straightforward. Nothing else starts with A. It's a leaf node, so null. T has TO and TE. So you see TO and you see TE. TO, its road ends there. It's a leaf node, so it's null. TE has a few more things. So it has TEA, TED, TEN. You see TEA, TED, TEN. All these have nothing else. They are leaf nodes, so null. Now we go to I. I has a few things starting with I. So IN, something else starting with IN, INN. This is a leaf node, so null. Right? And that's basically it. These ones were just added to, but at this point, you kind of get how it's going, right?
Yes.
Or how it's supposed to go. Yeah. So there was a lot that was happening in here. But going through the process, we would see that, you see, you can't tell how many times you need to keep going. It will be more efficient for you to tell the code to run itself. As in, the code should check if there's another TO. I'm not sure how to put it. But there are some kind of weird cases where okay. A simpler example to explain would be this stuff, Fibonacci. You've heard of Fibonacci numbers?
Yes.
There's 0, there's 1. These are the 2 starting Fibonacci numbers. The 0th and the first Fibonacci number. So 2, the second Fibonacci number is the sum of the first and the 0th Fibonacci number. So 1 plus 0 is 1. The third Fibonacci number is the sum. The value of any Fibonacci number is the sum of the 2 previous Fibonacci numbers. So 3 would be 1 plus 1, which is 2. 4 would be 3. Then 5,
8.
5, then 8. So at this point, if I pointed out any particular number for you and asked you, what's the Fibonacci number? What's the Fibonacci value for this number? You would ask me, what are the 2 previous Fibonacci numbers, right?
Yeah.
So in this situation, if I asked you the Fibonacci number of 10, sure, you could try to build this and calculate up to the 10th one. Alternatively, you could instead try to find the Fibonacci of 10 minus 1 and 10 minus 2. And if you have that, you have 10. Of course, to get 9 and 8, you would have to find 7 and 6. And to get them, you would have to get 5 and 4. Okay. Const fib is equal to taking a number. And let me say, if n in 0, 1, return n. And then return fib n minus 1 plus fib n minus 2. So I believe this part is straightforward and this part is straightforward. What may be confusing is this one. So let's have this. Let's use 2. So I'm starting poker, so we can see this. So in is actually checking for key. The key of this is 0. The key of this is 1 because keys in arrays are indexes. You remember how for off loop works for arrays, but for in loop works for objects by iterating over the keys. Yeah, for in loop can also work for arrays because arrays have keys. We just almost never need a reason to do that. So if I put 2, then we're going to get true. Alternatively, if I made this an object and said 2, even if I said undefined, it's still true because the key 2 exists in this object. So that's what's happening here. So basically I'm saying if n is 0 or 1, return n. If it's not, then return fib n minus 1 plus fib n minus 2. So console.log fib 10 55. Now, I did mention earlier that you can iterate. Like you can start from 0 and start building it and going up and get to where you're going. But this also works because to know 10, you just need to know 8 or 9 and 8, and you get 10. So this one by itself, in trying to find 8, will call itself and get 7 and get 6, right? All that one doesn't concern you. All that concerns you is just fib 10. So you can make this do the work for you by backtracking and finding the lower ones up to 0 and 1. So does recursion make sense now?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I think you can also use it to like find the factorial of a number now. That one works out.
Yeah, there are lots of use cases for recursions. Yeah. I do have to mention though that recursion is not very, what's the right word now? Basically, it takes a lot of time for recursions to work. So if there was an iterative process, there was a time we did this this Fibonacci stuff. Somebody brought an iterative method and we used this recursive method, and for lower numbers they were about the same thing. But right, once this argument becomes large, like say 30 for example, yeah, this thing you would literally see it spending time. You see how this 55 popped up almost immediately. If I change this to, let's try 30. There's a number that will make it take some time. Yeah, it's still running. But if this was an iterative method, you would still get an almost instant answer. It's still running. So that's the downside to recursive methods. They are basically easier to write than iterative methods for annoying situations like this. But the trade-off is time, or do we say efficiency? Yeah, it finally brought up a number. But you could clearly see that wait time. So in this situation, I guess to be sort of easier to think of an iterative method. But for that tree situation, that code was this thing. Yeah. I would like to see somebody iterate this. I don't want to get into this because this thing was it took like 2 hours or so to write this thing. And there are some corrections along the way. This was just very crazy. And in the end, this answer, this function was still kind of rejected by CodeWars. Something about maximum buffer size exceeded. Yeah, but it gives the correct answer always. It's just that buffer size is exceeded always. So that's that. So no other questions? So we're not sure if we're going to meet next week, given that next week is, a holiday. So it's quite likely we wouldn't. So our next class is likely to be this weekend after that.
I was suggesting that since it's next week, can we do Friday?
Friday is Good Friday, right?
Okay,
That's the
sure.
holiday.
Okay, don't go and share. We'll still talk about it.
All right. Anyway, if whatever the decision is made about that, it will be communicated in the group in time. So that's that.
Yeah, sorry, good evening. Sorry, please, can you help do like a recap of what we did today for me that didn't come early enough?
Okay, let's start with why it did not come early enough.
I'm sorry about that.
That's not a reason. That's not a reason. I already know you are sorry because you're asking, but my own
The
is the
class is
reason.
recorded now, Abi.
Is what?
The class is recorded, right?
Yeah, it is recorded. Anyway, so today is error handling. Right, so we talked about the try, catch, finally. It's not really a method. Let's just call it try, catch, finally in JavaScript. So essentially, if you have a piece of code that you feel there could be an error thrown inside, or you specifically want to throw an error in the case of something happening in there, you create this try, catch stuff. If you are not sure how to create it, don't worry. VS Code got you. You just write try and pick this try catch. And to bring this out for you. So it's just try with a block, catch like a function with error passed in. You can write whatever the hell you want in here. And then another block. So if you do like, you can add this finally yourself. So essentially, this code in the try block is going to run. If any error occurs in there, it's going to stop because normal in JavaScript, if an error occurs, execution stops for that whole stuff. Like any lines after that error are not going to run. Like you can see this. After this error happens, none of these happen. None of these run. All right. So if an error does happen, the code is going to jump into the catch block, and anything you wrote in here would run. So usually we tend to console log the error, maybe do something, basically just handle the error. What should happen in case of an error? That's what goes in here. And then finally, if there is something you want to happen, if this code runs, regardless whether it runs to the end or it's encountered an error midway, no matter what, you want this one to run. Yeah. Then you create a finally block and put it here. So I gave the example of somebody creating a form for a user to submit. And you have this feature where on the button is written submit. But when the user clicks the button, it changes to submitting ... and remains like that until it gets a response. Okay? So if the thing completes successfully, you want it to change back to submit. If it encounters an error midway, you still want it to change back to submit. Does that make sense? Yeah. So the finally block is there for you. So so far at that point, we had only done, regular errors thrown by JavaScript. For example, we had this, right? Let last name be eta year, and you're saying full name is equal to first name plus last name, but hey, where is first name coming from? Aha. That's an error. That's a reference error. So it was going to show up in here and stuff. But then we went into throwing custom errors. Like for no reason, you just want to throw error 2, just like that. So you throw error 2. And then we also talked about actually throwing an error with the error object. Once you say throw, it's an error. Like you've stopped everything from happening. You've thrown an error. But using the error constructor is better. right? Because you can now, let's say, give more information. When you throw error 2, all you are going to see as this error is error 2, nothing else. But if you use the error constructor, whether for regular error or a specific kind of error, you're going to see name, that kind of error. You see a message, whatever it is you wrote in the brackets, whatever you passed in, and there'll still be this other stuff. But generally, this is the one you need most. I can't really think of any use case where you need the name. That one is not a problem. Most of the time, it's the message that will be your problem. Yeah. So anyway, that's cool. Throwing errors, and then we just gave a sample of that. We used prompt, so it didn't work well with Coca. We had to go to the browser. So essentially, the user enters a number. If it's empty, throw this. If it's not a number, throw this. If it is a number but it's less than 5, throw this. Greater than 10, throw this. Just random stuff. And then we started looking at different kinds of errors. So syntax error for you write, wrong syntax, wrong JavaScript syntax, like this situation, where we have a beginning single quote and ending double quote. Okay, so type error. Say you try to use a function that works for a particular type or a method that works for a particular type on another data type. Like toString. Okay, toString does work for numbers. Let's say this one. Split is a string method. So using it on an array is going to give a type error. Then there is range error. This is the only situation I can remember off the top of my head, that can generate a range error. toString that is used on numbers, it takes in an argument, radix, basically the base. So you can convert this number to another base, like base 2 or whatever. So it only accepts 2 to 36. So writing 60 is going to throw a range error because, you're out of range. So that's syntax, type, reference, range. I guess these are the 4 common errors. So we went online and saw there is also internal error, although that does show up only in Firefox. I don't think it shows in Chrome or Safari. There was DOM exception. It's kind of like where you don't have access to something that you try to access. Usually because of CORS, this cross-origin requests stuff. The S is not stuff. Don't mind me. And there was the last one, URI error, URI something error. So kind of use this to show the example. There are some certain things that should not be in URIs. So anyhow, blah, 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 there is URI error. You can check it out yourself. So yeah, that's really where the lesson ended. All this recursion stuff was just came out of nowhere. So that's that. I shall see you all another time if there are no other questions. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I see
Thank
your
you for
hand.
the class.
You're welcome. I'm seeing your hand. Somebody raised their
So,
hand.
yeah, please, I wanted to confirm that window.add events listener error thingy. Is it like
Okay.
is it
Let's
like
talk
to
about
check?
that.
Yeah, okay. Is it like to check, like when you have like it to check your code, all your codes for errors, or like if there's an error, then it catches it or something?
It's a listener for errors. Actually, when I was trying this out, I didn't know there was actually just error. Okay, I did know there is actually error, but this wasn't really what I was looking for. It's the time Raja talked about this in the group. So he mentioned that there are 2 events you can use to listen for, errors, like everywhere in your code. So there is wow. Okay. Anyhow, there is unhandled rejection and uncaught exception. I don't know why this uncaught exception is not showing. The unhandled rejection is showing, but I couldn't find uncaught exception. Let me even try to check it out. Yeah. Ah, wow. Still getting bigger. Here, I'm just seeing error. Okay, anyhow, what he described that day was that unhandled rejection, anywhere there is, what's the word? An error in an asynchronous code that you did not personally handle, right? And the event listener uncaught unhandled rejection on the window objects will catch that and apply whatever function you've written for that. But uncaught exception, that event uncaught exception will handle errors in synchronous codes that were not handled, like this, because this is synchronous code. Imagine we had this error happening outside the try and catch. That means we didn't handle it. So having that uncaught exception was supposed to catch that. But I didn't see that, and I used error instead. Were you here when we tried this in the browser? Pelumi?
Yes, I was here.
So you saw that it did catch this. So this error is still true an error on the browser, but you saw that this one ran rather.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty cool. At least it will help you see the error or do something in case the error occurs. If there's something you want to happen, in case that happens. I mean, it didn't look like it will stop the error from running. It will just do whatever you tell it to do if that error does happen. So that's that.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, any other question, comment? Nothing? Then we shall see again. So the next class is classes, which sounds funny to say. It's going to be pretty interesting and long. So I have a feeling we're going to split it into 2 classes because classes is just big, really. There's a lot that's happening in here. So essentially, it's good that today is Sunday. So the next time if we meet to talk about this will be a Saturday. So Saturday and Sunday will just be for classes. And we can continue with JSON the week after that. So anyway, keep that in mind. This is not a class to be missed. You shouldn't miss classes. Are you feeling my points?
Yes, thank you very much.